Welcome to the CRE8HER Show. Now let's get into it. What if being the villain in someone else's story is exactly what you need to being the hero of your own? Today we will be talking about stepping and embracing your villain era. And this has been going around for a while now. And I'm like, what in the heck is this? Because I was like, I would think of villain. When you hear villain, you think of the Joker, you think of Cruella de Vil, you think of Ursula, and you think of Regina George from Mean Girls. And as I dug further, I was like, that's what it means, which it makes perfect sense once it was explained. Oh, and by the way, I did not do my homework and I forgot to do the WTF moment. So next episode, I will definitely double down with a WTF moment and I will make sure they are very good ones. But back to my topic. When I, kind of dug deeper into what the term of villain era, I was like, this makes perfect sense because I definitely can relate to being the villain. But through what I've, grabbed and learned, it is, setting up boundaries, it's putting yourself first, it's rejecting people pleasing. And I notice in there is a cultural obsession of being liked and being good. And I know from experience, it was, be good, do this, you have all you want. But I learned being good and being kind, it gets you nowhere. And it helped me understand that you can not expect you out of other people. And that was my big problem. I thought if I were to be nice, be kind, I would get it in return. Nope. And that's when I learned about, takers. Takers don't have, just as givers don't have boundaries, takers don't have boundaries until they run into somebody that puts their foot down and be like, oh, hell no, I'm not dealing with this no more. Or they see you for who you are and they're like, oh no, hell no, I'm not finna, take this, and you return the favor. You put up, you do them a favor. You pull a them on them, reverse. And they don't like that. Takers do not like when you pull a them on them. And then that's when you become the villain. And that's when you start hearing rumors. The lies start to come about. And I know I've experienced that plenty of times. And with me experienced that plenty of times, you would think that I would be this mean and vicious person. I could have cleared my name and dropped receipts, but I just chose not to. And it was like, why become the very people that did me wrong? And it's like that. I believe in what you put out is what you get back. And I just feel like, why clear the narrative? If that's what you chose to say about me and believe about me, then cool. And I also had issues with people finding out that people would go tell somebody something about me. That person would believe that lie, that rumor, and whatnot. And then when they finally meet me in person, or they finally experience me outside of what that person told them, they will look, like, dang, she not what that is. They would give off that body language their body language would say, she not like, would give off that, she not like that person said, but dang, I done believed what that person said, so, I gotta move, I gotta move along. And I'm like, being through this a lot, I can peep a lot. And you can move right, it's like that thing of, go ahead, move right along, because you can't judge a book by its cover, and you definitely can't read a page off of what somebody else says. And, you miss out on good people going off of what somebody else says. And it's at that point, like, how old are we? Like, what age are we to believe what somebody else says? But anyway, that's like elementary teenage shit and whatnot. So, to my next point, how people pleasing is often masked as fear of rejection. So, like I said, I was a huge people pleaser. And it would be to the point where I would give and give and give just because I would fear of that person rejecting me. So I would just give. And of course, some people will take and take and take and won't say, no, I'm good, whatever. Of course, like I said, takers don't have, just as givers don't have boundaries, takers don't either. And some people will not say, hey, I got this, or hey, no, I don't need this. They will take, especially when it comes to money. If people don't have to spend their own money, they definitely won't mind spending yours. You know what I'm saying? But that's another topic for another day. But back to, rejection. I would fear rejection. And like I said, I will overcompensate for that. And that would just go back to childhood, wanting to be liked and wanting to have friends. Because just like I was a weirdo as a kid, I'm still definitely that weirdo now. But I don't fear rejection. So now when people reject me, I'm just like, okay, whatever, you're not meant to be in my life or whatnot. So it is what it is. People that are for you are going to stay, and people that are not will leave. Bye-bye. But you learn your lesson, and you don't. It helped me. Those experiences helped me not overcompensate, not fear rejection. So I'm like, like I said, if you reject me, I'm sorry. You just missed out on a good person and a good experience. Being in my villain era, it feels so empowering. It gives me freedom. It boosts my confidence. It boosts my energy. Let's say that, because it can be draining. Because people, like I said, takers don't have boundaries, and they will take and take and take and not replenish your energy. And like I said, I keep repeating myself. Excuse me. People take and take, but they don't replenish. They don't refill. And I've also learned that when people take from you, you got to cut them off. You got to cut them people off, because you can't pour from an empty cup. What they say on the airplane, put your mask on first before you hit anyone else's. And it helped me learn that I cannot put my needs before anyone else's. I have to help me first. Because if I don't help me, then nobody's going to be there. Nobody else is going to be there. Especially to the moms out there, or not even just moms, even, people with children. You have to take care of yourself first. You have to take care of yourself first, because number one, nobody's going to take care of you better than you. And number two, nobody's going to take care of your kids better than you. And I just lost my train of thought. Excuse me. Nobody's going to take care of your kids better than you. You have to take care of yourself. Y'all, make sure y'all take care of yourself, because it's a cruel world and people really just don't care. And that, it helped me learn to have discernment. Through these experiences, it helped me to have discernment of who I should pour into and who I should not even pour my energy into. And that brings me to another point. Have boundaries. You got to have boundaries. Not only that, say no without feeling guilty. You have to say no without feeling guilty. And some of us will feel guilty and we will go back. I know I've done this plenty of times, which I learned from. We'll go back and they changed. They were just going through something. Hell, we all go through something. And they didn't change. They just shedded skin. They just shedded skin and just had the same spirit of a taker. And you have to choose prioritizing your career, your job. And I know from experience, I've learned that you have to when it comes to these jobs, you got to put yourself first. Because these jobs do not give two, y'all finish the rest, about you. And I can remember riding the bus, having to get up at 4:45, have to leave the house at about 5:30 to catch the bus at 5:45 to be at work at 7. Did I have to do it? No, but I chose to do it because I thought that, to go back to what I was saying about being liked, being good, overachieving. That job, after a while, it was like, they didn't care. They really didn't care, and it was draining. It took a lot out of me. And anybody know, being a teacher assistant, a teacher, parapro, whatever, that field is stressful and draining. And it took everything out of me. And me getting an opportunity to leave exposed a lot. And it made me the villain because I chose to put myself first. Do I feel guilty? No. But I had to leave in the middle of the school year, but it was for the better. But a lot of people don't care for the better. People would be selfish and be like, you could have stayed. I'm like, why stay? I'm stressed. Y'all not pouring into me, so I'm going to choose to pour into myself. I think I said this already, but what did I gain from, being in my villain era? I gained confidence, I gained energy, and I gained freedom. It is so freeing to just put myself first. You got to put yourself first. You have to put yourself first. You have to put yourself numero uno. Because if you don't, you're going to run yourself in the ground. Whether it be a job, whether it be a relationship. You don't want to run yourself in the ground. And this brings me to, this is off subject of like the hustle culture. You have to be on the go. You have to move. And it's just like, no, you don't. Relax. It's okay to relax. It's okay to sit still. But don't get too complacent. But back to the subject at hand, I have a boost in confidence. When people call or just ask for anything, if I don't want to, I'll either say no or I just, or I just don't want to. And you don't owe nobody no explanation of why you don't want to. If I don't want to, I don't want to. It is what it is. And I have more energy. Like I said, I'm pouring into myself. I'm pouring into my project. I'm putting more energy into myself, my creative projects, and the things that I'm doing and whatnot. And it's a great thing. It's better. Working on get through it, because sometimes I do want to say yes, but something is telling me no. And when yourself tell you no, listen to it. When your intuition tells you no, just listen to it. I want to give you some tips to embrace this new era that you have stepped in and you're embracing. I've said it once, I'm going to say it again. Cut out, however you want to say it, those energy vampires. Like I said, if they're not pouring into you, don't pour into them. Cut them off. If you got to block them, block them. And I've learned people have become creative. I was reading something, no, I think it was on TikTok, and I was looking at TikTok, and this creator said she blocked somebody. They went through Cash App to send a message to unblock them. I was like, that has to be the most creative thing that I've ever seen. And I know for me, I'm not a blocker. I'm really not. But these last few years, I've had to block a couple of people. And I started to get calls with people sitting on the phone, which I knew who they were, who it was. I started to get text messages. And it wasn't necessarily unblock me. It was, hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. And I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me, really? If you didn't do what you did, you wouldn't be having to go through all these channels. But they have recently ceased, which I'm very happy. But I'm sure after this episode, they'll start back up. But I'll just ignore them. You ghost me, I ghost you. I just return the favor. And I notice when you return a you on you, when you turn a them on them, they do not like it. When you make them sit in what they did, they don't like it. But I'm like, I'm just doing you a favor, and I'm also doing me a favor, because I don't want to deal with it no more. You don't want to talk? That's how you feel? Okay, good. Or whatever. And y'all know people be nosy. Please. I'm not even going to say please. Y'all don't piece together and figure out who I'm talking about. They know who they are. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, another thing, stop apologizing for existing. You cannot shrink yourself. I'm gonna hold your hand. Give me a hand. Give me a hand now. You cannot look me in the eyes. Look me in the eyes. You cannot shrink yourself to make others feel comfortable. If they're not making you feel comfortable, you do not need to be around them. You do not need to be around those folks that make you shrink. And I'm very thankful that I have people that I don't have to shrink myself around, because we are so like-minded. There's no jealousy. You can sense the love. You don't sense animosity. They don't. I'm thankful for them. They don't move weird. My group of people, they don't move weird. I get support. I get a lot of support. I get encouragement. We encourage each other and whatnot. And that's a good thing. Don't shrink yourself. listen to me from experience. Do not shrink yourself, because that's what they want you to do. They see your light. They see your light and they want you to shrink. Don't shrink yourself. You know, you know, to go back to what I said, if they not making you feel comfortable, you don't need to be around them. To my next point, practice self-care and self-expression. I know I like to dance. I do not have a rhythmic bone in my body. Those that truly know me know. I will hype everybody else up, but when it comes to me, I'm going to look at you like, y'all know I'm not finna dance. But I will hype everybody up now. I got a little two-step in me. But as far as all the jigging and jugging, that ain't me, or whatever. But moving, I've learned that moving keeps the energy flowing. It releases trauma. It really does, and it's very peaceful, and I like it. And as far as self-care, for me, that looks like just reading a book or watching a favorite movie, relaxing, chilling. It may necessarily not be sleeping, but like I said, it's reading a book, it's drawing, I just got back into journaling, which it helps out. Journaling helps me get out my thoughts instead of crashing out on the internet. And that's another thing. I'm thankful for my core people that's going to check me and tell me, take that down. That is not worth it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad. I'm thankful for those. To my next point, allow people to misunderstand you. That's one thing that I had to learn, is allow people to misunderstand me. And like I said, I've always wanted to be liked. And now that I have matured, it's like, if people misunderstand me, they misunderstand me. And that also helped me learn that people are only going to understand you on their level of understanding. Because some people don't like to go deep. When you go deep, you gotta do the work. And some people just like to be cruising on the surface, which is fine with me. But maturing has helped me go deeper. It has helped me understand myself, what I really like and what I really don't like. Next thing is just being empowered and standing in it. Y'all know my favorite thing to say: stand 10 toes down. Stand 10 toes down in it, because a lot of people are waiting for you to come back. Oh, she ain't this. She said this her villain era. She coming back. No, I've learned, like I said, when you go back, all they did was shedded that old skin, and with the same shedded that old skin, got new skin, but the same spirit. I had to move along. It was painful, but like I said, it's lesson learned, and experience is the best teacher and whatnot. So I want to leave you with this: being in your villain era does not equal being cruel. And I think I said this. You do not want to become the very people that hurt you. Because sometimes we can get wrapped up in being hurt and hurt people, whether it be intentional or unintentional. And we definitely have to check that. Yes, I get hurt people, but at the same time, we have to be conscious of it. We definitely have to be conscious of, yes, I've been hurt, but at the same time, you don't want to put out that negativity and then it'll come back to you tenfold and whatnot. It's about reclaiming your narrative. You do not have to. I have grown to learn, and I said this earlier. I have grown to not care about the narrative that people put out there about me. I just don't care, because you know what? My character will definitely speak for itself. So if, like I said, if that's what you want to believe, then that's what you want to believe. I am perfectly fine. But my character, my energy, and who I am is definitely going to speak for itself. I propose this. Remember this. If being the villain in someone else's story means being the main character in your own, then embrace it. Crown, claws, and all. We have to remember to embrace it. It will definitely be scary at first, because I know a lot of people are used to pleasing everybody. And you're so used to taking care of everybody and putting your needs on the back burner. We got to take care of ourselves. Remember, you are numero uno. You are number one. And we have to embrace it. We have to stand on it. Because like I said, people are waiting for you to fall and come back crawling. And being in this era has helped me take care of myself. Like really, really, really take care of myself. And be like, help me look in my cup. If I don't have nothing to give, I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not pouring from my cup if I don't have nothing to give. If I have overflow and I feel like giving it, I definitely will. I have no problem giving. I have to check in with myself. Is this a giving moment? Is this not a giving moment? And most of the time, it's not a giving moment. So I want whoever is listening, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Excuse me. Take care of yourself. And remember, spread love, peace, because there's enough negativity in the world.